All right, this is Mitch for Indigenous Insights. I'm in the gym at the Marquette Armory in Marquette, Michigan for the 25th annual Learning to Walk Together powwow. We're just after our supper break here. I'm at the Center for Native American Studies table with Grace Chaillier.
Hello.
Ani. So I'm just kind of making my way around here, talking with people, just kind of chit-chatting. And I wanted to sit with you so we can kind of talk a little bit about some of your classes. For my listeners, why don't you tell them a little bit about the courses you teach up here?
Well, right now in the winter semester, I'm teaching NAS 204, which is Native American Experience. That's our foundation class that many students at Northern Michigan University take that class. And some of them from that class then become interested in Native Studies, either the major or the minor, and continue to take classes within that major and minor. Also, this semester, I'm teaching NAS 315, which is History of Indian Boarding School Education. And our director, April Lindola, has asked me to create that class as an online environment class. So I've done that, and I'm teaching that online for the first time this semester. Next fall, I'll go back to the face-to-face version of that class. So it looks as if we'll probably do both of those in the future. Probably alternate them, do the face-to-face one semester, and then do the online, the next semester possibly. So, and we are moving in that direction with more of our classes online all the time.
So I took the class with you in the classroom, and it was such an environment because we came in there just almost ready to fight a little bit. Have you noticed a difference having your students online compared to right in the classroom?
No, I think the students still have that passion about the class. We don't have quite as much discussion because it is that online environment, but the students seem to be as passionate about the reading assignments and about the films that they view as my students do when they were in that face-to-face environment.
Okay, so for students that might, they have to travel a little bit further, the online classes, it's the same thing, real deal.
Yeah, actually it's much the same reading, much the same films. Assignments are pretty much the same. It's just that online environment where you can be anywhere basically in the world and take the class.
So I'm going to go ahead and ask, what else do you have going on? I mean, you work on other projects outside of class a lot of the times.
Right. I do. Actually, I'm glad you asked that because just this past Wednesday, I presented in an English graduate class on Lakota winter counts that my people do. I am Rosebud Sioux, Shoshone Lakota from the Rosebud Reservation in South Central South Dakota. And one of the English professors who teaches a graduate level class in English asked me to come in and present on winter counts and on ledger art. So I did that just a few days back now, and the students seemed to really be engaged with the information, and it was quite an interesting experience.
Ledger art is you're into ledger art pretty good, right?
I am into ledger
Tell
art.
us a little bit about that. I'm a little curious about what ledger art is.
Well, ledger art was first started in the boarding school, about the time the boarding schools were starting up. Richard Henry Pratt, who started the boarding school system, took 72 prisoners from the Southern Plains to Fort Marion Prison in St. Augustine, Florida in the late 1800s, and while he had them there, he gave them empty ledger books and some ledger books that were actually filled up and asked them to create drawings from their life on the plains and also from their current life there in the prison system in Florida and just draw in the books. So the Indians that were there in prison at the time really took him up on that, and they drew hundreds and hundreds of ledger art. So that was actually the very beginning of ledger art, and then once they were released, those prisoners went back to their reservations. They became involved, with drawing on paper and in ledger books back on their reservations, and also then taught the next generation of ledger artists back on the reservation. So that has just continued down through the years.
It's become its own art form.
It is. It's the one original Indian art form that's actually art that you hang on the wall.
Where can we find some information about that? Where do you research that? Like, where can we see some of this?
I just bought a piece of ledger art this past it was last spring in May when I went to a conference, and I took it in to have it mounted and framed and everything here in Marquette. And the gentleman who did that works in that area, is familiar with lots of different kinds of art, and had never seen this art, never heard of this style of art. So, and he asked me the same question that you just did. Mm-hmm. And I said to him, Google ledger art. And so when I came back in to pick up my framed piece, he said, I did what you suggested. And he said, I was amazed at what I learned about a style of art I knew nothing about.
So there's lots of resources out there.
There's
Very
lots of
cool.
information on the internet.
All right. Well, it looks like your food is here from the feast.
It
We'll let you go.
is.
Miigwech, Grace.
You're welcome.